Okay, welcome. Wednesday Night Live with Dr. Leona. Hi Tanya, hi Sheila. Thanks for joining. While I'm waiting on people to sign in, I'm gonna try this comment thing, Tanya. Okay. Yes, me too. I've had some great conversations about this book, and I'm really excited. I really think the timing for this book is right. So I'm gonna put a comment here and then I'll get started shortly. Well, guess what, Tanya? I figured it out. I pinned it. All right. I am evolving with this technology, so very excited, very excited. So it is 7:22, so we're going to get started. So please just announce yourself. I mean, I can see you on the chat, the roll or whatever you call it. So I see some familiar names. Tanya, Sheila is in the house. Glad to have you. Welcome to Wednesday Night Live with Dr. Leona. And this is part of the 50 to 50 launch. So while I'm waiting on some other people to join, I'm just going to tell you what this all means. We're doing the lives at 7:22. And that is the date that I turned 50. So July 22nd is the day I turned 50. So I thought I'd play with the numbers and do my lives at 7:22. Also, with the 50 to 50 launch, I started this, I think we're on day 23. So for the last 27 days or so, I've just been sharing posts and little snippets from my upcoming book, Freedom in Chains. So as we get closer, I'm just going to have more fun with this, some more surprises. Pre-orders are available on freedominchainsbook.com. So if you haven't ordered your book yet, please order. Because for those people that pre-order, what I'm going to do is, right now the date is for July 29th, we're going to do a special post-launch party. And what I want to do is, for the people that receive the books and have read the books, they're going to have like a Ask Me Anything event with me, because I know with this type of book, it's going to be some questions. Because I had a conversation with a young lady that had read my book already, and these are the kind of comments that she shared with me. She said the book has helped change her outlook, it's helped her find herself, it's removed a lot of noise, and it's helped her help herself. So the way I wrote this book, and the reason why I wrote this book, is last year was a time where I had a lot of time when things really quieted down. I really had a lot of time to just think and self-reflect, and I used this time to really say, you know what, especially with coaching other women with health and weight loss, a lot of other women were experiencing a lot of the same situations. And I was able to use my experience and my tools and strategies to help others. So over time, I started writing the book and sharing aspects of my life from birth to now. And I use those things, instead of being ashamed of them, I use them as lessons to help not just empower me, but empowering others. So there's a lot to this book. And everybody experiences things in their own way, in their own timing. And this book is written in a way to kind of nudge you in the right direction. Because as a woman, we can all relate in many aspects. So even though things are unique to me, it's very universal to others. So we're going to just do this call. I'm going to just say hello to those who just joined. Hi, Dianis. Hey, Valerie. Thanks for joining. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So how I typically do these, I think this is my, for this part of the launch, I'm going to say this is probably my fourth or fifth one, who's counting. And I've been reading parts from my book. And just to kind of recap for those who may have missed earlier episodes, I talked about in this process to freedom, in this process to evolutioning, and in this process of evolving and awakening, we have to be able to forgive ourselves. So I talked about that. So go to my page and you'll see the earlier lives. And I talked about really before we can heal, we have to be able to forgive ourselves. And before we can forgive ourselves, and it's not until we forgive ourselves that we can forgive others. And then the second week, I talked about exposing the lies. You know, those lies that we've told ourselves, the lies we grew up with. Because before we can change, we got to understand what those lies were. And then it was discover the truth. So after we expose the lies, we got to be able to replace it with truth. And tonight, which is one of my favorite chapters, is renewing your mind. Because now that we've exposed the lies, we're learning to discover the truth. Now we can renew our mind with the truth. Because it's one thing to learn what the truth is, but it's another thing to feed our minds with it. And as we renew our minds, we start to act upon our minds. Because what we think is how we act. And what we become. And this became very true to me during my weight loss journey, and I share that in the book as well. And it wasn't really about diet and exercise. It was beyond that. It was about changing my mind, learning to think like a healthy person. Therefore, I was able to act like a healthy person. So that's why this chapter is so dear to my heart. And again, thanks for joining. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with reading a little snippet from chapter 9. And the chapter is, the title is Change Your Thoughts. And I'm going to start off with reading the elephant rope story. It's a very powerful story, so I'm going to go ahead and read right now. As a man was passing the elephants, he suddenly stopped, confused by the fact that these huge creatures were being held by only a small rope tied to their front leg. No chains, no cages. It was obvious that the elephants could at any time break away from their bonds, but for some reason they did not. He saw a trainer nearby and asked why these animals just stood there and made no attempt to get away. Well, the trainer said, when they are very young and much smaller, we use the same size rope to tie them. And at that age, it's enough to hold them. As they grow up, they are conditioned to believe they cannot break away. Sorry, I got distracted. The camera was phasing out. Okay, they cannot break away. There we go. They believe the rope can still hold them, so they never try to break free. The man was amazed. These animals could at any time break free from their bonds because they believed they couldn't. They were stuck right where they were. So like the elephants, how many of us go through life hanging on to a belief that we cannot do something simply because we failed at it once before? Failure is a part of learning, and we should never give up in the struggle of life. Now, this story is a perfect example of psychological bondage. You know, we don't physically have those chains on us, but a lot of those chains are right between our ears. And the elephant, completely unaware of its own strength and power, remained in physical bondage. So that's how powerful the mind is. And that's why I'm just fascinated with our thoughts and how we think. So when we're in mental bondage, it's even worse. It gives you an illusion of freedom. Waking up from the lie and casting off the chains is a process, and it begins with recognizing that the mental chains exist. Now think about these elephants. They didn't realize that they were chained. They didn't realize that they were being held back from their true power. And it begins with recognizing that these mental chains exist. You can't move forward if you don't remove the chains of the past. Renewing the mind entails regaining self-respect It entails changing the information that is in our minds. Those false, okay? My camera went out again. I don't know why it's not holding. You still there, everybody? Okay, thank you. All right, see? Technology's not letting me be great today. But that's the elephant story, and it's real powerful because you see the problem was in their minds. They didn't realize the power that they truly had. And what was also important about this story is that this was created in childhood. So how many lies or how many chains that have you grown up with that were installed in you in childhood? You know, it's not just our parents that can do this to us. And a lot of us parents do this to us unknowingly. Because I know my parents loved me the best way they knew how, but there's things that they did and said to me that I grew up with in adulthood. Our teachers that we have, some of the friends that we have that tell us over and over again where they laugh at how we speak, how we look, how we act, whether you're athletic or not, if you're good enough, if you're pretty enough, if you're smart enough. And some of us grow up holding on to that, and then we're in our 40s, 30s, 40s, and 50s believing that. And when we believe this stuff, we act on it. So for example, our brain is always fighting to be true. So when you believe that you are not good enough, you're going to act in a way to prove yourself right. You're going to find evidence to make that right. That's why we have to renew our minds. That's why we can't believe that. So first we have to acknowledge this thought. We have to acknowledge this chain. That's why I talk about freedom in chains, because we have freedoms within the chains that we are not aware of. Because we're in different phases in our lives. So that's why when I was talking about this book and we're all in different journeys, I was in a different place when I was a child. I was in a different place in high school. I was in a different place in college. I was in a different place as a new mother. I was in a different place when I was married, in a different place divorced, in a different place as a business owner. So you see that as we evolve, we break some chains, and through life we bring on other chains. We bring on new beliefs. We bring on new challenges. So we got to learn to have freedom from that. We have to learn from that. So struggle isn't a sign of failure. It's not a sign of weakness. It's those lessons. And that's why when I wrote this book, it's done in an order that we learn from it. Because it's hard to just renew our minds when we're believing the lies. It's hard to break those chains when we don't realize that they exist. So that's why it's important to know those lies that we believed about ourselves. So as a healthcare practitioner, let me just use an example as far as our weight. A lot of us have health issues because of the lies we believed about our health and our bodies. Believing that certain foods are healthy, which actually aren't, and then believing that some of the foods that are healthy aren't healthy. For example, I won't get into it, for the sake of time, okay? I won't get into it, but things like good fats, okay? You think all fats are bad, for example, but that's a lie. Not all fats are bad. So the truth is we have to learn about those correct fats that our body actually needs, and learning about the fats and the other foods that our bodies don't need. So that's just an example of how the truth helps us. But first we have to know those lies and understand those lies and build on that. And then we start to renew our minds and changing our ways and habits. Believing that, at one point you thought maybe eating a snack every 2 snacks a day is good for you. And then you realize that it's not. And then you got to renew your mind and start creating new habits to support your new lifestyle. So it doesn't only just affect our health. It affects our lives. It affects how we talk to people, how we connect with people, the movies we watch, the books we read, what we feed ourselves. So that's why I love this chapter, because it's so important when it comes to evolving and awakening and becoming better and becoming free in who we are. So this is just really what I want to share with you tonight, is really learn to renew your mind and just really sharing how deep this book can get into. and just learning scriptures that can help empower you and renewing your mind with scripture, renewing your mind with affirmations, telling yourself that you are worthy, telling yourself that you are intelligent, that you are beautiful. It's so important. And I know all of you that are listening to me tonight are capable of that. I've had the opportunity to work with some amazing women that have been able to break those chains. And I believe that it's those chains that I had, those struggles that I had, has really helped me bring out the chains in others so they too can break those chains. So that's tonight's episode of Freedom in Chains, Renew Your Mind. And really appreciate the participation. So let me go through these comments real quick. And please, if you have any questions about what I said or any comments, please share. I'm going to go through these. Thank you, Tanya, for pre-ordering your book. Oh yeah, I've gotten quite a few orders. So shout out to those that purchased their copy. And again, they will be mailed as soon as I get them printed out. So it's happening. The good news is for those who pre-order, you don't have to wait until the 22nd to get the copy. As soon as I get them, they're going to be autographed and shipped out. Absolutely. Mental work is the hardest work. It actually is. It's much harder than the physical work. It's one thing about being hurt or abused physically. I have experienced that. And it's another thing to be hurt and abused mentally. I've experienced that too. And I think the mental abuse is much more damaging than physical abuse. So I really had to work on my mind. This is probably one of the most empowering, funnest, probably the longest chapter of my book, because it's really what helped me. Yes, Val, failure is a part of learning. Yeah, because how many times have you just failed and at one point you're like, I give up, I'm never doing it again. No, you gotta keep doing it. Try another way. Yeah, rewrite the story, rewrite the script, and keep going. As long as it's in line with the truth. That's why sometimes things don't work out, because it doesn't support the truth. It doesn't support who we are. So that's one thing about freedom and change. Just really realizing, are we going in the right direction? Are we doing what's true to us? Or are we doing something that's going to please other people? Or does it really represent who we are? So that is very important. Right. I'm loving the comments. I really appreciate this. Exactly. Focus on the positive, not the negative. Because if you focus on the negative, you'll attract more negative. For example, emotional eating is very popular, very common. So what happens when people are very emotional, very stressed? They tend to feed that emotion with negative foods. So when you're in that place, this is when you renew your mind. Instead of falling into that behavior, it takes work to start thinking those positive thoughts and getting up and doing something that'll help feed that positivity. So the brain is a muscle. That mind is a muscle. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are lazy mentally, but we really have to exercise our mental muscles in order to grow and evolve. All right, thanks for letting me know you were here. For some reason, I don't know if it affects the live, but the camera was going out because I wasn't touching it. So I have to maybe do something about that next time. Okay. All right. So, yeah. So if there's no questions, I appreciate all the comments and the participation. So, just to recap for those who joined in later, yes, the pre-order is available at freedominchainsbook.com. And we're on day 23. We got 23 more days of just really sharing more about me and sharing more about the book. And July is around the corner, so I'm thinking about doing something really fun for the month of July. And I'll let you know. I'll surprise you. And of course, those who pre-order will get an opportunity to do Ask Dr. Leona Anything. and it's going to be just for those who pre-order the book. And yeah, and join me next Wednesday live at 7:22. So we're going to be doing this at least up until the launch. But based on the participation and all the feedback I'm getting, hey, I might just keep going, you know, with these Wednesday night lives, because I'm really appreciating the love and the support and the feedback that I'm getting from this. So I'm really looking forward to, you know, mostly you just really reading this book and just really growing from it, because that's the goal, for you to come better, get stronger, get more empowered, and evolve and achieve more freedom in your health and your life. So, all right, Tanya, thanks for the encouragement. Yeah, I may keep going. So I'm going to keep these short and sweet. I usually go about 20 minutes. So if there's no other questions, thank you for joining. For those who are watching the replay, I thank you for taking the time to watch this. Make sure you pre-order your copy, part of the 50 to 50 launch. We are on day 23, I think. And join me next Wednesday live at 7:22. Have a great night, and until we meet again, go out there and achieve more freedom in your health and your life. Good night once again.